Episode 13, This Life in Tech. My name's Jason.
Hey, and I'm Dan.
And
where the fuck is the Sultan?
I don't know, dude. I sent this guy the invite 4 times. And I just sent him a Twitter with a picture of the join URL and a bit.ly shortened URL.
I'd give him the full-length URL.
Dude, it wouldn't fit. I couldn't even take a picture of it. It's so goddamn long. So I thought, well, I'll try to meet the guy halfway. Hey, this is interesting, man. So while we're waiting on Brandon, the Sultan, I was looking at some of the stats for our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
18% of our traffic comes from Switzerland.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. 0.1% from the UK. Now, I don't know what they're classifying as the UK, though. I'm trying to dig into this. Because I know what the UK is on a fucking map, but I don't know if YouTube, Google considers it the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Oh, well.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well. Look who decided to grace us with their presence.
How the fuck are y'all doing today?
Yeah, dude.
I was doing great trying to send an email out fucking 4 times.
Hey, you know what? Learn to send it right the first time and you won't have to do it again.
Because clicking that invite button and typing your fucking name in there is so hard.
Evidently, or else I'd have a fucking invite.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't have one.
That doesn't mean it wasn't
I got mine.
I'm logged into Hangouts on Google's official fucking hangout.com or hangout.google.com. I'm not fucking up here.
Did you get it, Dan?
Sure.
How did you join this session, Dan?
I was logged into Hangouts Google.com and got my invite. I mean, I did get it a little bit late. I was kind of going, dude, it's like 104. Where's the ninja at?
Having technical difficulties, apparently.
No, he just didn't get on until 104.
I did exactly when I felt like it.
Yeah.
It just happened to be 104. You know what? I didn't even look at the clock.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it feels like time to do it. I'll do it.
It's that slacker man attitude going on there.
No, that's how you act when you're a fucking wizard.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, man, go ahead.
So, Sultan, where's your turban, man?
It's in the wash.
What?
No, it's behind me. I'm just too lazy to go get it.
You're gonna have to get that. We can't present on snake oil.
Just imagine my ego. Just visualize my ego, and then you're good.
We absolutely need the turban in order to properly present this week's potential snake oil organization.
All right.
Wow, man.
Hold on a second.
Can't use Gmail, can't put his goddamn turban on. What's the
Shut
world
up,
coming to?
Man, can you believe it? I can't believe this. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we only need 87 more.
Oh, until we can get our own custom link?
Yeah.
I think we should easily be able to create 87 fake accounts to get that.
I hate this fucking thing.
Hey, that is your costume. Batman would never go out without his mask and cape on.
I was gonna say,
Superman has his cape.
Do you have him grumbling like fucking Fred Flintstone in the background?
He's closer to the Barney though, not Fred Flintstone.
Sorry, you know what?
Rubble or the purple dinosaur?
Dino? Was it Dino?
No, Barney the purple dinosaur. No. What the fuck?
Oh no! I thought you were talking about the Fred Flintstone's pet purple dinosaur. I thought it was like Dino or something like that.
That is correct, man. But I was making a joke about Barney.
Oh, I gotcha. The different Barney. No, I don't think
too dark for you fuckers.
Yeah, right now it is. So, Sultan, what were we reviewing this week on 5 Minutes of Snake Oil?
So this time we got a twofer. 2 different products, both of them which are free off the Google Play Store. One of them is AdGuard, and the other one is AdAway. They're both supposedly ad blockers. However, one of them requires root access in order to be able to block. Ooh. Yeah, it's a requirement. It will not work properly or at all without root. and that one would be add away. I see a lot of people with custom ROMs, or that are at least pushing custom ROMs that have add away pre-installed, and they'll either place the APK as a standalone APK within the system folder or system bin, or they will they'll go ahead and integrate it into the actual system settings APK. So you know how some custom ROMs will have a little section dedicated to their modifications, tweaks, and whatever it is that they add for cherry-picked ROMs. Like CyanogenMod has the theme section dedicated to their theme engine. Some ad blockers have been integrated into these custom-baked ROMs, which, if you're not careful, you could end up having somebody push malware into your baked ROM, and from boot into signing into Google Play services for the first time, you will be screwed from the get-go. But as far as downloading it from the Google Play Store goes, it does require root access. Oh, sorry, no, Adaway can't be actually downloaded from Google Play Store. My bad.
F-Droid, right? It's on the F-Droid store?
Well, they have their own official APK from their website that they have. I believe it's available as well from xdadevelopers.com. So it's, for the most part, trusted amongst the developer community, but your individual results may vary. First things first, it requires, after it gains root access, it requires that you update a host file that is maintained by somebody other than you that will block advertisements in certain applications, not all, but some applications.
That's the kind of stuff that we used to do back in like 2000, was mess around with the local host file on Windows systems.
It's still today.
Oh my gosh.
Like if you want to,
right.
Okay, say you want to borrow a copy of software that checks your host file in order to send updates to its server to make sure that what you're borrowing is a legitimate copy. People still edit their host files in order to to bypass that BS.
I mean, we do this when we jailbreak iPhones as well, in order to fool the where we store the blobs and things like that. But the aspect of doing this for ad blocking, to me, just seems archaic, because it's very easy to start changing these URLs for ad blocking. That seems pretty.
It's also incredibly dangerous, because that's one of the things, of course, malware uses too.
Well, here's the best part of all. It's because of the fact that it requires root access, and for you to modify these host files, anybody could slap a new URL into whatever application that they want and easily fuck with whatever it is that they desire. The messed up part is the unrootable version, or I shouldn't say unrootable, it's the one that doesn't require. Version. Yeah, the one that you can download from the Google Play Store.
That one's called what?
That one's called AdGuard. It's a little green shield with a check mark in it.
Okay.
It can only block certain advertisements within web and very, very small, shitty little applications that nobody cares about. So, as far as both of these products go, in my opinion, they are both shit as far as ad blockers go. They are nothing like AdBlock Plus for Firefox and Chrome on the respected operating systems. They are nothing like any of the other applications that provide any type of level of privacy, like Privacy Badger, which we discussed last week. They don't do it at all. So,
why do you think that is? Why is it so fundamentally difficult to take something that works on a desktop and to get it to work on a mobile device?
Well, here's the thing. The way that Google Chrome operates on an Android device isn't the same way that it operates on the desktop. Yes, you're still able to view content in the same capacity and even request desktop-grade sites, but you don't have the expansion plugin and developer plugins that you would with Google Chrome on a desktop. There's no add-on support. Same goes for Firefox. I mean, you have very minimal support there. So it's basically what you download is what you get. And unless you're willing to put in Expo's framework on your system, which requires root, and if you're on Lollipop or above, requires you to flash the module to your system as opposed to just installing a simple APK and giving it root access. That is the only way that I know of that you can modify easily applications in your Android environment.
Right, so my question about why do you think it's so fundamentally difficult really comes down to the mobile browsers don't have the plugin API, but does that mean the browser engine, or engines in this case, because we're talking about different browsers with different engine bases, completely don't support that type of functionality to begin with?
Not to my knowledge.
Which, I mean, clearly they don't have the API plugin because there's no plugin extension support. But no. Is that just the end of it, or is it that the engine itself is so neutered that it can't even do it?
I honestly haven't peeled apart the engine from the Google Chrome version of Android versus what's on the desktop, but I can tell you right now, it's obviously not the exact same thing. For one, there is absolutely zero Java support whatsoever in the Chrome variant. For Android, sorry, that's what I was going to say. A lot of content will not load. Just it refuses to. So obviously we're not looking at a mirror of what the desktop version provides. The same thing goes with Firefox. Support for a lot of features is very limited. I mean, unless the website's running HTML5, chances are you won't be getting most Flash-based content to load on Firefox or even Google Chrome for that matter.
You know, that's probably a good reason why. So, like, you've got Orfox, which is an alternate browser, and then Ghostery has their own browser as well, which has their own ad blocking in there. And they're probably, and I haven't looked into it, but I might guess, well, Orfox is probably using the Mozilla engine and has modified it, and you have to use it as a separate app. And Ghostery, I don't know what they're using. They're probably, if I had to guess, it's probably a Chromium, but I don't know. I haven't looked. But they're using their own browser in order to provide the ad blocking capability, or so it's probably good. You know, that's probably what it is, because most apps you don't want to launch another app for you on a mobile device. I mean, that kind of goes against the sandboxing aspect.
Yeah, that's a pretty big recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Chain loading of any kind in any operating environment to me is a bad idea.
Man.
Trying to get this thing up right. It's just like flopping around.
So are we in agreement? This is a lot.
This is, oh my gosh, this is all crap, it sounds like. Yeah.
There's so much snake oil put into this thing that I'm ready to fry chicken with it.
Nice. So yeah, it sounds like both of these are both 5s, man. They don't work, and it gives people, I mean, it's even worse because it gives people a false sense of security.
Yeah, I think they're just capitalizing on the success and the notoriety of add-ons to the desktop full versions of things like AdBlock, NoScript.
What kills me is if you've ever seen AdBlock Plus's little logo, it's that little stop sign with the symbol inside of it going like, hey. Yeah. The Adaway is the same symbol but with a little bird on it instead. So it's trying to make it seem like, hey, we aren't really claiming that we're associated with these people, but look at our logo. It looks so familiar and comfortable and recognizable. Come download our shit. So when it comes to both of these, I would obviously want to issue caution to downloading them. However, with Adaway specifically, if you have root on your system, think twice before you grant permission to some random asshat.
Well, and that was going to be my last question here. So, are these put out by legitimate companies, or are these individuals just monetizing a name?
No, the Adaway. I don't know who the actual developer is.
For Adaway, I was just looking at it a moment ago. They don't have a person's name on here, but I mean they've got their stuff out on GitHub. So I mean I'll at least say that they're putting their code out there for people. And the author is Dominic Sherman. I don't know how you. It's currently being maintained by Zero Kaladin and Davis Mosenkovos or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm brutalizing their names.
Yeah.
So my guess is what they want people to do, and this wouldn't necessarily be a horrible thing, would be if you're going to build a browser for yourself, use their stuff to put into it, like what Orfox and Ghostery have done, and that may not be a bad way, but I don't know if it would still require root or not in doing that.
I honestly think that the best way to move forward in this would be to have a browser that does support plugins and is actually able to hook into the browser itself. But unfortunately, just like some applications for Windows and OS X, they have advertisements built into them specifically. Like Skype is a great example of that. The Linux variant of Skype does not have advertisement. However, any paid-for OS or name brand OS that you attach it to, which you only have two to really go off of, it's riddled with ads. Same thing goes with even freeware like uTorrent. They're trying to push ads within the application now. The same thing has been happening on mobile devices since Android and iOS pushed out their respective app stores. So one of the easiest ways for people to make money off of their shitty freeware titles is to just riddle it with ads. What these applications are claiming to do is to help remove advertisement from these shitty applications. However, it doesn't work all the time, or even most of the time.
See, and to me, that's what makes it snake oil. It just doesn't do what it says it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
That makes it snake oil.
And it's, well, right, absolutely. It's not doing what it says it's supposed to do. And in this case, I think it's even worse because they are giving people a false sense of security. And that to me is, deserves the death penalty.
Max vials for me.
Yep, 5 vials. All right. So, Sultan, what do you think we should be looking at next week? We're going to try to put it out to our audience. Do you have some ideas? Ninja, you got some ideas?
I would like to see something that people hold near and dear to their hearts and actually genuinely believe in. Like, that's something I really want to review.
Like a pacemaker?
That's a thing, yeah. Funny you mentioned that. Me and Khalil were just talking about pacemakers yesterday, about biohacking in the future. Funny enough, how at some point in our lives we will start to see more connected individuals, not in the sense of people on their phones, but people that are wearing, either internally or externally, technology that will possibly one day control certain aspects of your body. Like, say, the cerebral cortex is responsible for a lot of your involuntary reactions, or voluntary actions in life. Say you have complications with your heart. We have a pacemaker now. Maybe 20, 30 years in the future, the pacemaker can be connected to the internet and send data directly to your doctor, and they can know in the future when shit's going to happen.
Sure.
Whatever. So that poses a bigger risk than what's already floating around with the possibility of being able to hack and quote-unquote a pacemaker. We were discussing how it would be possible for someone in the future to be able to, over the internet, assault an individual and make them drop dead. And
sure.
We had gotten onto the topic of how that could be used to commit terrorist attacks, and he was a bit confused of why I would suggest that. So I gave him the scenario that pilots, after they have entered they've finished the recovery stage of having a pacemaker and they've been approved by doctors, are still allowed to fly commercial airlines here in the United States. So they're piloting 747 Boeing engines. If somebody were to attack an individual who had a pacemaker in their heart through that method in the future, if that was possible, could take out an entire plane full of people. So biohacking kind of goes a bit of one of two directions. One, it could be used to greatly benefit a human being if used correctly. Two, the way that the world is moving, the more technology we put into our body, the more susceptible to actual cyber-based viruses entering our body is more of a reality.
Cyber pathogens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a fascinating topic for me, man. I mean, it's a good segue into biohacking, and we'll come back to what we want to talk about next week. But I got to jump in here. I can't help myself, and I don't want to. So, there's something in our community, man, where there's this leap of, and I'm really curious about it because I think it's pretty telling. Hear me out. There's a large proportion in my experience, part of our community that leaps to these nasty conclusions of they're going to get us. This is it. This is what they're going to use to get us. And I've increasingly begun to think to myself that attitude is exactly what allows that stuff to happen in the future. Because what happens is we don't innovate as much as we should because we're too scared of like the scenario you're proposing, which I'll address in a second. And instead of turning around and actually addressing the root problem, which is on this hand you have a bunch of ultra paranoid dorks, right, that can only see the negative things in the world. And over here you have some exceptions that are willing to exploit those things. So instead of dealing with the base social, psycho-economical roots of those mentalities, we sacrifice innovation. So check this out. Let's assume your scenario happens. In 20, 30 years we have, by the way, because the pacemakers can already transmit over near field right now. So and that's the proximity of near field is a convenience. There's no reason why it couldn't be IP enabled entirely right now, right? So that technology already exists. But again, let's assume. Why the fuck would you go to the trouble, if you're a terrorist, of hacking a pacemaker on a single pilot when you could just blow up the fucking plane?
Because as terrorists go through their terrorist attacks, every time that they do something, that's the last time that they will be as successful with that attack. As opposed
I don't know. I agree on that one.
No,
I mean, otherwise we would have gotten rid of phishing attacks.
I'm talking about from the stance of a terrorist that is using physical means to actually, cause damage. Like, we haven't had another 9/11 attack since it happened here in the U.S. specifically. So
okay.
if a terrorist wanted to gain access to another plane, one of the easiest ways they could drop one from the sky would be that method, or have to find new methods of doing so.
But that's what I'm asking. How is that easier than just blowing the fucking plane up?
It's not easier. It's not about convenience.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. Every decision, even for a terrorist, is a simple business decision. It's return on investment.
You got to think.
I guess it depends on what type of fear are they trying to
we're talking about
put to society. Right.
Yeah, we're talking about terrorists.
If the terrorist wants to people...
No. The goal of the scenario, don't straw man it. The goal of the scenario is to kill everybody on that plane. So
I don't know that it's... I'm not a terrorist, so I can't speak on behalf of all terrorists. But
no. But that's the goal. Wait, that's the goal of the stated scenario. So let's stay within that. If the goal is to blow that plane up, forget about why. That's irrelevant.
That's not what the goal is. The goal is to maximize the amount of casualties possible. That's the goal of most terrorists.
Okay, but what you said was blow the plane up, right?
No. Drop it out of the sky. That's what you would do. Which, yes, on impact would thus blow it the fuck up.
Right.
So
we can agree that approximately the effect's going to be the same whether I blow it up in the air, shoot it with a missile, plant a bomb on it, kill the pilot. It doesn't matter. That plane's going down.
Not necessarily. If you timed it correctly, with trajectory mathematics, you could drop it into a building.
See what I mean? What if fucking Jupiter's misaligned? Will it still work?
Yes.
Well,
wait. Why don't we just talk?
Okay.
Wait. Instead of saying let's not have IP-enabled pacemakers, why don't we deal with the religious zealotry that causes people to want to fucking kill fuckers with IP-enabled?
Well, but it doesn't always have to be. It doesn't always have to be religious.
It doesn't have to be. But that
doesn't have to be.
Some people are political, resource-enabled. I mean, come on.
Right. So let's create a list and address those problems.
So you want to nerf the world?
Wait, no. I don't want to nerf the world. I want to intervene. You want to nerf the world.
Not really. Well, I actually want internet-enabled pacemakers.
I think this just comes back to the fundamental aspect of security in general, which is threat modeling. you take into account these types of scenarios. So as you're innovating, you can build in countermeasures to kind of prevent some of these things. I don't know, perhaps a proper authentication and authorization as to who, what, when, where, and under what circumstances could something interact with that pacemaker. I mean, this comes back to, Ninja, one of the first things you were talking about for your doctorate was how we could look at direct assertion of identity. And in this case, as we become more enabled with biohacking and these systems are implanted into us, we have now a much more realistic opportunity to have a direct assertion of identity.
Well, and then increasingly it's going to become required. But nonetheless, let's be honest though, right? I mean, why do we want to limit ourselves in what we're able to achieve technologically? Because we're unable or unwilling to make a list of defects in ourselves and deal with those defects. That's my point.
I think Jurassic Park said it best, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
How the fuck do you use a movie as an example, man?
Well,
wait, just so we're clear, that's a work of fiction.
Yes, obviously, but that's not the point. Just because you can do something, well, gotta be a dick about it, don't you?
Yes, the answer is yes. We absolutely should. Yes.
There has to be some responsibility.
No, there doesn't. Why?
Well, I mean, let's think about it from a technology standpoint. Almost in every next generation of computer equipment, computerized equipment, they all start off with direct memory access, and then eventually it becomes serialized. We go, oh, well, because things become too fast, and it has to until the other components catch up. So that evolution seems to be taking place quite often. Again, this just comes back to if in the SDLC process we start including security and privacy in the beginning instead of afterwards, innovation can still occur as long as clowns stop trying to prevent that innovation because they're always going no, 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 and then the people stop talking to security and privacy people, and then they just go around you. Well, security people don't tend to be most business-minded folks out there.
Right, and let me hit you with a slightly different angle. We've talked about this before in the concept of one of the things that astounds me with risk assessment is the inability to look at assets and vote to remove them. Right, there's a proliferation of infrastructure to protect assets, and there's not a willingness to eliminate assets, which to me makes natural sense. Right, if I don't need stuff, why would I keep it? The only bad can come of that. So at what point, and we've talked a little bit about this before, but it all ties into the same conversation. What if threat modeling has to include those things? What if we just remove those things?
Well, you can't remove everything, but you do make a good point in terms of remove the things that aren't necessary, that are no longer necessary. And that I got to tell this story. So I was doing this work when I was back at one of the system integrators, and this particular component of the Department of Justice has a data center, and I kid you not, they could not add anything else to this data center without turning something else off.
Yeah.
They couldn't add new power to the building. They were maxed out. They couldn't do any more. And they had us doing like an alternatives analysis. But that just we're looking at this stuff, and I'm like, hey, you realize there's this new thing called virtualization? Dude, this was like in 2009, right? So it's not like virtualization hadn't been around for several years at this point. I'm like, hey, we can consolidate. And they're like, oh, no, we can't do that. I'm like, no, you really can. So they didn't want to get rid of things because here's the reason. They are scared and they are fearful that that change is going to impact something that they have not yet thought of.
Right.
Instead of just going, we'll deal with it when that problem arises. They don't want to deal with. They want to deal with something that they haven't thought of yet, and they don't know what it is they haven't thought of yet.
Yeah. Right. No. It causes almost a permanent hesitation, if that makes sense. Right. Where people they'll act like they're going to do it. Right. They'll have meetings to plan more meetings, and they'll talk about strategical plans and this and that and milestones, but you never actually get to where you want to go. And it's deliberate. It's a trick of ego. Mm-hmm. And this is the same thing, I think, with this conversation, this broader conversation of why does somebody have to be responsible, man? Honestly, just innovate. Just build shit. Why? And let's learn as a cultural engine to deal with those exceptions rather than why do you want the technology to deal with that to begin with? The technology should be making our lives easier, not preventing terrorists from downing planes.
But pacemakers.
What?
Nothing. Anyways.
Well, because there is this aspect, and it's in science in terms of the science is free and open. How people and organizations and governments choose to apply that science is why things become classified in the first place. Especially when you're all talking about governments.
Well,
the science is there.
Human history is full of examples of co-invention.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I mean, even back to calculus and well, even the theory of evolution, right, was, for all intents and purposes, co-invented independently. It's just one person becomes more famous than the other. Look at power generation and storage with AC and DC between Tesla and Edison.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. So we've been talking about biohacking. I guess it's a pretty good segue into us. Into what I did this past week, which is kind of interesting.
I tried to give you the segue with the electricity. There you go.
Yeah. I was able to get. We're on the same page. Maybe because we're aligned in a lot of things, especially when it comes to how we get paid, where our loyalties lie, things of that nature. But so
another one for you too.
Last week I was kind of inspired a little bit about our talk on biohacking, and so in talking with even though he's not here again this week, the off-frame fuck, he can't find his luchador mask, but he was telling a story maybe about a year or so ago, and on how they start turning drone pilots and snipers and things like that, utilizing transcranial direct current stimulation. And so I started looking it up a little bit more. And this week, my device from Focus arrived, and I did my first session yesterday. 15 minutes, utilizing their V2 product, and I'll tell you, it was interesting. It started the way you could download programs on it. The way the one that I did, one of the ones that was just in there by default was called their endurance one, and it was doing some other reading from various places on the site. But I found DARPA's montage, what they basically recommend people doing, and I'll put this out like in a blog post. I think this would be a pretty good kind of chronicle this, or whatever the hell I'm talking about at the moment. But basically,
you got it.
Yeah. But anyway, where they wanted to put this, which was, I think it was like the F17, which is basically right over the temple, and then the other diode on the left arm. And now they said in their thing to do 2 milliamps for 30 minutes. I did the endurance thing from Focus, which ramps it up in cycles up to only 1.7 milliamps. It's capable of doing 2. And I only did it for 15 minutes. So I had a little bit of a headache for about 30 to 45 minutes afterwards. I think that's, one I read that's normal. It's one of the potential. I look at it like, hey, you're going to work out something that you've never worked out before, or you just haven't been to the gym in a while.
Did you get the metallic taste in the back of your mouth a little bit?
No, I didn't have that. But I did wind up towards the end of the session, started getting the flashing lights. So I actually looked up. I was like, "What the?" I was looking around. Yeah. And so for about 30 to 45 minutes afterwards, I had a little bit of a headache. Nothing bad at all. But dude, I felt like hyper vigilant for about 2 hours, and then everything was fine. And I did notice. Go ahead.
Did you feel hyper vigilant in like equal senses, like your vision and your hearing, for instance, or just one?
I don't recall, but I just felt like this hyper state of awareness of
Gotcha.
At least visually going on. So I typically have a hard time sitting still and reading or talking or anything along those lines. I have to kind of always be doing more than one thing to help me, I guess, almost see and help to narrow that focus down. So it's like I can see peacefulness in a sense of chaos. in a way. So I like having multiple things going on. But I was able to sit down and read uninterrupted for a good 90 minutes, which does not happen typically for me without me wanting to get up, move around. I was able to focus. Now, after about 2 hours, I was probably the worst ADD that I'd ever that you could imagine, because I was I had to keep doing different things constantly, and then it was a little bit difficult to focus on only one aspect after about that 2 hours. Not any more difficult than too much normal, maybe a little bit more, but I was much more aware of my inability to control what I was going to focus on. Where normally I go with it.
And then at some point after that 2 hours where you're feeling maybe a little left of center, did you come back towards what you would think is normal?
Yep. Yeah, so I did this at about 7:30 in the morning, and finished around 7:45. Started reading around 8. Around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It quickly, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was back to how I normally felt.
Right. Right.
So it was only about an hour. So 2 hours after the session, hypervigilant. Maybe about an hour or so, things seemed to be off in terms of I realized how much my ADD aspect was really kicking in terms of not wanting. That was really key. Typically, I just don't want to sit down and just read. I have to go do something else. I was not. That was really. I was really self-aware of that aspect of not wanting to sit down and read.
Right.
And then after lunchtime, like around 1 o'clock or so, 1 or 2 o'clock, I was back to how I normally would be.
Yeah, yeah. That seems. Not only in line with what I've read about the treatments, but I built my own device. It's back here in that little white box. That's my electronics box. And Ian and I had talked maybe around the same time he was telling you those stories. He and I talked about it. I don't know if he ever did it. I told him, and I sent him the plans. the website that I got the plans from. It's open. It's not like I bought it.
Right. Yeah, there's a ton of research out there.
Yeah. And I have a modular box that I can change the milliamperage on manually with a little rotary dial. They all work more or less the same. And it's a combination of where you put the electrodes, how long you do it for, what you're doing when you have that running, shit like that.
Yep. Yeah, it was quite interesting. So there's a lot. I was reading a lot of the different message boards and things like that. So anyone that chooses to try it, whatever you do, and this is extremely important. Do not use a TENS machine. That is completely different type of electricity and how things work. You will seriously damage yourself. And there was people out there who have actually done this, and they put themselves in the hospital. Yeah. So, or at least according to the message board. Oh,
yeah. Don't go to a CVS and buy like a muscle stimulation unit or some shit and think you're gonna get away with it.
Yeah. I can speak from experience. That's not exactly the smartest thing you can ever do.
Wait. Did you do that?
When I was 17, yeah.
Oh man.
What the fuck were you trying to do?
Make $50.
Wait, I want to hear this story. Give us the TLDR. What happened?
Yeah, I gotta learn to not talk. All right. Long story short, a friend offered me $50 to put 4 pads on my head at once, and he sat there and slowly cranked up the voltage until I started making funny flopping.
Where did this machine come from? Was it somebody's parents?
Yeah. It was just lying in the closet, and we decided we were gonna, try it on, random parts of our arms and legs and shit and whatever.
How old were you, asshole? 17?
I was 17. He was 21.
Dude, that could have killed you.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? $50, man. So.
Wow. Yeah. So I have a TENS machine for working out the different muscles and stuff like that. I'll tell you, it'll. Yeah, it will. No, dude, I would not do that to someone ever. You ramp up that amperage. Like one time, I remember accidentally and it was on like my hamstring. Dude, I couldn't walk for like a week because I accidentally turned that thing all the way up because it just slid, and boom, I basically re-pulled, the hamstring muscle.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's all remember that our CNS, our central nervous system, operates off essentially electricity, right, over sodium-potassium gates. And what are these machines using? Electricity. They're passing a current over your CNS, right?
Oh, yeah.
I never said it was a smart thing to do.
Definitely not.
We didn't think it was, brother.
No. Oh, no.
And you let the motherfucker have the dial.
Dude, here's the thing, though. As high as he went up, I think it went all the way up to like 11 different settings on this machine. He got up to 6, and my neck stayed in a certain position, and drool was just like coming out.
Yeah,
because you get electrocuted.
Yeah, into your brain.
I mean,
so definitely don't use a TENS machine if you don't want to. So this focus device costs like $300 for what I got. You can build it yourself for less than $50.
Yeah.
It's just about if you want to
you got to be careful, man. I mean, you can fuck it up. You want to be careful about it.
There's plenty of places out there. So when I write this blog, I'll list out some of the what seems to be the reputable blogs that are out there on this stuff, and yeah, I mean, I'm going to I'll chronicle what I've got going on, and we'll see how it works. So right now, I'm not going to do a session today. I'm going to ease into it. So I'll do another session tomorrow. To see if I get kind of the same results, because one of the things I said to do it every other day. Some are saying doing it every day. Some say different minutes. But right now, just because I'm gonna treat it like I was going to the gym, and so I'm going to do it every other day for a little while, and then I'll increase after a week and see how things go.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest. There can be side effects.
Sure.
Sometimes I've gotten the metallic taste. You get, I don't know. For me, I would never describe mine as a headache. It's more like that tight sensation when you have like a sinus headache, not like a migraine or something, right? That's how mine always are. I don't know what yours was like. Mine's just like
well, since I was doing this right over the temple, I mean, I could definitely feel like, again, it was an annoyance. It was kind of like your hungry type headache, not like a migraine, not like I hit my head or something like that. This was a slight annoyance.
I would describe mine like a caffeine withdrawal headache, where it's like that dull kind of tightness.
Sure, sure.
It's more annoying than anything.
Yeah.
But man,
I popped an Advil, and the headache went away like in 15 minutes. So, not a big deal.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of information out there, man. There's some good subreddits on tCDS. There's some great blogs. There's a lot of good information, man. If you're interested,
I'm too terrified to try it.
Well, because you let some asshole hook you up to the wrong type of machine and manually.
Yeah. The amount of electricity that's going here is extremely low.
Yeah.
The research that I said that anything less than, because you could go as low as like they said anything less than 0.5 milliamps is no effect. So the only way to see some type of effect was more than 0.5, but nothing greater than 2 milliamps. Milliamps, not amps. 2 amps will kill you. So 2 milliamps from the research that I read, which came from various different medical journals and the studies that were released from DARPA. So DARPA used 2 milliamps for 30 minutes every day. That was their study.
There's actually a lot of different potentiation that takes place from even 1 to 1.5. And there's incremental milli steps. There's a lot of neural potentiation that can take place, the pre-priming.
Yeah, and looking at the different areas of the brain, and there's research for this can help everything from people who have a hard time focusing, anxiety, depression, not learning math very well. That by putting these things in different areas for different lengths of time and different milliamperage affects you differently. Yeah. And
you can
this has been going on for many, many, many years. This is not like something new.
No, and it's very similar to the biofeedback mechanisms that can be used to retrain for depression, for attention deficit, and shit like that.
They're seeing a lot of this right now with Alzheimer's patients, of it helping to reverse some of the Alzheimer's symptoms, I guess, or the disease itself.
Yeah. And this deals with a greater thing called neuroplasticity. Real quick, man, because I saw Brandon dropped. I don't know if he shocked himself, man, or just his internet is shitty, and I'm betting it's the internet.
I don't know that I would take that bet. It may not be.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
He did it once. Someone made it. Someone may have offered him $100 this time. Who knows?
A couple episodes ago, we very, very briefly talked about CRISPR, the gene editing technology.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see yesterday the news came out that they tried to modify HIV, and the HIV virus mutated right around CRISPR, instantaneously? I mean, I'm hyperbolizing a little bit, right? For all practical purposes, it might as well be instantaneously. Yeah.
That's not good. Hey, I know we're getting ready to end this. I'm going to one last thing that I just want to talk about, because it is that time of the season. IRS tax scams. Okay,
that's right.
So for all of our listeners out there, know this: the IRS does not call you on the phone. They're not going to email you. They only deal with things by certified mail. Okay, and then even if you get something certified mail, call the IRS off the IRS Gov website and refer to whatever you see in there. Always be suspect to anything with the IRS at this time of year. So, that's a lot of thing I want to end up on that show because it happens a lot. My dad's a tax accountant, and he's already had well over 30 people asking him about this because it's already happened to over 30 of his clients. So,
yeah. That's a great point, man. It's a great point.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what happened.
We figured, well, the bet was whether or not you had bad internet or if you went and got the tens machine because someone offered you $100. For the record, Ninja felt it was your internet, and I felt someone offered you $100 and you just passed out because someone hit you with the tens machine again.
Well, we know this. He's not going to take personal responsibility for it.
Nope. No, my computer's...
Wow. That is really close up. Whew.
Better?
I don't know. Maybe we could even get you a mask. We got a hat. We got to get you a mask, too.
What's up, Brandon?
Yeah.
Hey, so, all right. Sultan, do you got any closing words here before we lose your internet again?
Fucking hell, man.
Fuck Google.
Fuck. All right.
See what I mean, man? It's always somebody else's fault, dude.
True that. True that.
You probably got a coyote out there chewing on your fiber.
Don't even know what to say to that one. So, Ninja, how about you? Any closing thoughts for today?
Don't be afraid to innovate, man. I want to see some great shit. I'm looking forward to the nanotechs, the machines. This CRISPR thing's pretty exciting. With HIV mutating around it, so now they got to rethink their strategy and not editing one gene sequence at a time. You might have to edit multiple at a time to fool it. That's pretty exciting shit.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right,
I worry about that way more than I worry about tax, man. Dude, don't get me started on taxes. I'm almost glad I got laid off, so now I can fucking have a lower tax burden.
Yeah. Well, regardless of that, there's a lot of people that get affected by this stuff every year for the last several years, and so remind your family, friends, loved ones. That's not the way the IRS works. I'm not a fan of the IRS, but they're not calling you on the phone, okay? And they're certainly not taking credit cards over the phone like that. So
no.
They do stuff by certified mail, so registered mail, stuff like that. So anyway, all right, hey, episode 13 in the bag.
Any parting thoughts, right? Sultan?
I thought you said Google sucked.
Yeah, I did.
I was giving him a chance to recant.
An opportunity to actually take personal responsibility?
Yeah. Hey, in the future, man, if you're interested, dude,
shit, I found out why my computer's shut down. Yeah, here's your personal responsibility. My dumbass let the power cord out and forgot to put it back in.
Surprised you didn't blame that. Surprised you didn't blame that on, your significant other.
No, it's gravity's fault.
Gravity's fault.
Dude, I'm not even gonna ask, man. Hey, you want to do an episode in the coming weeks over emulators?
Sure.
Game emulators.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. That'd be awesome.
The fuck do you think I was talking about?
I couldn't hear you very well. That's why I asked what you said.
Put your other earbud in.
No.
See what I mean?
Fuck. Gravity's fault again.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean.
Oh God! Now you're in stereo. That's even worse.
It'll get you every time. All right, man. That's what I got. Episode 13.
All right.
That's it.
13. All right.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Hey, in 2 weeks, man, I'm out. I'm traveling, so we won't have one. But next week we're here.
All right.
Bye.